What if I told you that the kinds of sex men dream about aren't just about physical pleasure or wild fantasies, but reveal something much deeper about desire, connection, and who they really want to be in the bedroom? Today we're diving into 5 powerful types of sexual dreams that unlock the hidden truths behind what truly excites men, and why understanding these can change the way you see intimacy forever. When people talk about the types of sex men dream about, the conversation often gets stuck at the surface: positions, frequency, or who's initiating it. But the truth is, for most men, it's not just about the physical act. It's psychological. It taps into something deeper, something emotional. And while that might sound surprising or even contradictory, it's absolutely true. Yes, men are visual. Yes, they crave physical intimacy. But the kinds of sex men dream about, those are usually wrapped in layers of meaning: validation, connection, ego, identity, vulnerability. It's not just the body that wants to feel something, it's the mind and heart. When a man dreams about sex, what he's really often dreaming about is a feeling. That feeling could be, I'm enough. It could be, I'm wanted, or I'm powerful, or even, I'm safe here. These feelings often live underneath the surface of his desire. Take the fantasy of being passionately desired without having to perform, prove, or earn it. That kind of sex, where a woman looks at him like she can't help herself, isn't just about lust. It's about being chosen. It's about feeling worthy without conditions. In everyday life, many men walk around with a quiet pressure to always do more, be more successful, more composed, more manly, more in control. But in sex, when someone wants you for who you are, without any effort, when they crave your presence, not just your performance, that's powerful. That's healing. Other times, it's not about being desired, but about being able to lose control. Men are often expected to keep it together, to be the steady one, the decision maker, the protector. But sex offers a rare moment to be wild, to release, to be primal. And in fantasy, that's a place where a man can forget about the weight he carries outside the bedroom. He doesn't have to make the plan or be the strong one. He can be raw, free. It's less about what he's doing with his body and more about what he's letting go of emotionally. The dream isn't about technique, it's about surrender. Then there's the fantasy of emotionally connected sex, the kind where both people are so in tune that they don't need to speak much because everything just flows. That's not just about passion, it's about presence, about being with someone who sees you, understands you, and meets you exactly where you are. For many men, emotional intimacy is hard to come by. They're not always raised to open up or be vulnerable, so the idea of sex that's emotionally charged, where they feel safe enough to be soft, open, even insecure, is incredibly appealing. It's not something they brag about, but it's something they long for. Even fantasies that seem superficial on the surface, like threesomes, public sex, or role play, often have emotional layers underneath. A threesome might symbolize abundance and being so desirable that one person just isn't enough to contain it. Public sex might represent rebellion and breaking free of rules. Role play could offer a way to express parts of himself he can't show in day-to-day life. These fantasies aren't necessarily about acting them out literally. They're about expressing needs that are hard to articulate, the need to feel exciting, the desire to be more than just responsible, the craving to experience life outside the lines. Sex is one of the few places where men can seek emotional validation without using emotional language. And this is where it gets tricky, because many men aren't always in touch with what they're really feeling. They might not say, I want to feel safe. They might say, I want wild sex. But underneath that wildness, what they really want is to let go of their armor, to stop thinking, to be accepted fully, flaws and all. So when a man dreams about sex, it's often a dream about being seen, about being wanted for who he is, not just what he does, about connection that doesn't demand perfection, about a moment when nothing else matters, no expectations, no to-do list, no pressure to prove, just being human, just being enough. And that dream, while played out in a sexual space, is rooted in something incredibly emotional. It's psychological, it's vulnerable, and it's very, very real. When we talk about the kinds of sex men dream about, one of the most important things to understand is how much variety matters. It's not just about routine or repetition. Men's fantasies often revolve around novelty, change, and the excitement that comes with something different. The idea of variety is powerful because it keeps desire alive in a way that routine cannot. Men don't just want sex to be predictable. They want it to surprise them, challenge them, and sometimes even scare them a little. This isn't about dissatisfaction with their current partner or situation. It's about craving stimulation on multiple levels: physical, emotional, and psychological. Think about how boredom affects desire. When something becomes too familiar, it loses its edge. The same old positions, the same environment, the same patterns, it all becomes background noise. What men dream about sexually often involves breaking that monotony. It's the fantasy of something fresh, whether that's trying a new location, exploring a different rhythm, or even stepping into new roles and power dynamics. This variety brings a spark. It's the unexpected, the unknown, and the playful experimentation that fuels the imagination and creates excitement. Men's fantasies often include scenarios that feel like an escape from their day-to-day lives. Maybe that means sex in a place they wouldn't normally consider: a hotel room, an outdoor setting, or a secret spot. The thrill of getting caught or the adrenaline rush of doing something taboo adds a whole new layer of intensity. This kind of variety in setting isn't just about physical change, it's about how the environment shifts the entire experience when the backdrop changes. The usual rules feel looser, and men can allow themselves to explore parts of their sexuality that stay hidden in everyday life. Another big part of variety is the dynamic between partners. Men often dream about shifting roles, sometimes being dominant and in control, sometimes surrendering and being vulnerable. This dance between power and submission allows for different parts of themselves to come alive. It's not about weakness or strength in a traditional sense, but about tapping into different energies. Being dominant can feel like stepping into a heroic, confident version of themselves. On the other hand, surrendering can offer a release, a break from responsibility, and the chance to be cared for or taken care of. Both sides of this spectrum add richness to the sexual experience that men crave in their fantasies. Role-playing or imagining different characters and scenarios is another form of variety that keeps the sexual dream alive. This might include imagining themselves as a stranger, a lover from a different time, or someone with a completely different lifestyle. These fantasies allow men to explore desires and emotions that may not have space in their everyday identities. It's a way to experiment with feelings like power, freedom, or vulnerability without real-world consequences. That exploration is deeply satisfying because it connects to their need for growth, adventure, and emotional expression. Men also dream about variety and emotional connection during sex. Sometimes the fantasy is about pure physical pleasure without the complications of emotions, a wild, no-strings-attached encounter. Other times, the dream centers on deep intimacy and connection, where they feel completely understood and accepted. Both extremes offer something different but equally important. Variety here means freedom to experience sex in multiple emotional states, not just one fixed mood or expectation. This emotional flexibility keeps the dream alive and feeds the imagination. Importantly, this craving for variety doesn't mean men want to leave or betray their partners. It's often about bringing that variety into the relationship or fantasizing about possibilities that might feel too complicated to express openly. Because of this, variety in fantasy is a signal that men want excitement, creativity, and deeper connection in their sex lives, not just routine. Finally, variety in the sexual dream taps into a fundamental human need. Novelty keeps the brain engaged and responsive. When something new happens, dopamine, the chemical linked to pleasure and reward, is released, heightening desire and anticipation. Without it, desire can fade, not because of lack of love or attraction, but simply because the mind and body crave fresh experiences. In essence, when men dream about different types of sex, they are often dreaming about breaking free from predictability. They want sex that surprises them, challenges them, and allows them to express different facets of themselves. Whether it's changing the location, shifting the power dynamic, role-playing, or exploring various emotional connections, variety is what keeps desire vibrant and alive. It's the spice that makes the sexual experience rich, rewarding, and deeply satisfying on many levels. When we think about the types of sex men dream about, one powerful and often overlooked element is how much sex intertwines with power, vulnerability, and ego. These aren't just abstract ideas, they live at the core of many men's fantasies and shape what feels deeply satisfying or thrilling. Sex isn't simply a physical act, it's a complex dance where a man's sense of self, his confidence, and his emotional needs all play out in very real and often unconscious ways. Understanding this helps reveal why certain fantasies recur and why some kinds of sexual experiences feel so unforgettable. For many men, sex is one of the few spaces where their ego gets to play a starring role. The ego, in this case, is about feeling important, desirable, and admired. When a man imagines sex where he's admired or adored, what he's really craving is the feeling of being chosen and celebrated. That can show up in fantasies where a partner is utterly captivated by him, where his presence commands attention, or where he's the center of desire without question. This kind of fantasy isn't about arrogance, it's about affirmation. It's a way for a man to feel fully seen and appreciated, often compensating for times in life when he may feel overlooked or underappreciated. On the flip side, vulnerability also plays a huge role in male sexual fantasy. This might sound contradictory because men are often conditioned to show strength and control, especially in sexual situations, but underneath that conditioning is a desire to let go, to be soft, and to be accepted without judgment. Some of the sex men dream about involves surrendering control and allowing themselves to be truly exposed, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Vulnerability in sex can be frightening because it opens up the possibility of rejection or shame. But it's also deeply freeing because it allows men to experience intimacy on a much deeper level. That vulnerability becomes a form of courage, a secret strength that few get to witness but many crave. The interplay between power and vulnerability creates a fascinating dynamic in men's fantasies. Often these fantasies swing between two poles. Sometimes the man wants to be the dominant figure, the one who leads, commands, and shapes the experience. Other times he wants to be the one who's cared for, who relinquishes responsibility and lets someone else take charge. Both of these roles tap into different aspects of masculinity and ego. Dominance feels like an expression of confidence and strength, a chance to embody a powerful ideal of manhood. Submission, however, offers relief from pressure, an opportunity to be human and imperfect. This back and forth is a fundamental tension in many male sexual dreams and shows how sex can serve multiple emotional needs at once. There's also the element of ego tied to performance. Men often carry the silent pressure to perform well in bed, to be skilled, enduring, and exciting. This pressure can make the sexual experience stressful and sometimes less enjoyable. However, in fantasy, men might imagine scenarios where performance anxiety disappears. Instead of worrying about technique or how they measure up, the focus shifts to pure connection, pleasure, or adventure. Fantasies where a man feels free to be imperfect, to make mistakes, or to explore without judgment can be incredibly healing. They help to soften the rigid expectations that society places on male sexuality and allow men to reconnect with the joy of intimacy. Another dimension of this power and ego interplay is the desire to be a hero in bed. Many men dream about being the kind of lover who saves the moment, who provides pleasure, and who fulfills their partner's desires in a way that feels heroic. This fantasy is deeply tied to masculine identity and self-worth. It's about feeling competent and valuable in a way that transcends everyday achievements. Being the hero in the bedroom can be a way to prove something, to oneself or others, that he is capable, worthy, and desirable. This isn't about ego in a selfish way, but about the pride that comes from meaningful connection and mutual satisfaction. What's important to recognize is that these themes, power, vulnerability, and ego, aren't contradictory but complementary. Men's fantasies often blend these elements in ways that allow for complexity and nuance. For instance, a man might imagine starting a sexual encounter from a position of control, but gradually transitioning into a space of vulnerability and surrender. Or he might fantasize about being desired intensely, which feeds his ego, but also being fully accepted for who he is, flaws and all, which requires vulnerability. This layering of experience is part of what makes sex so rich and fulfilling in fantasy and in reality. Ultimately, sex becomes a space where a man's inner world, his insecurities, strengths, desires, and fears, can play out in ways that words don't always capture. His ego wants to feel validated and powerful, but his deeper self also longs to be seen and accepted without pretense. The types of sex men dream about often mirror this dance between showing up as strong and stepping back as vulnerable. This complex interplay is what makes male sexual fantasy so much more than just physical. It's emotional, psychological, and deeply human. One of the most important aspects of the kinds of sex men dream about is the role that safety plays in unlocking true intimacy and honesty. When a man feels emotionally safe, he is far more likely to open up, reveal his deepest desires, and allow himself to be vulnerable in ways that often stay hidden in everyday life. Emotional safety is like the foundation beneath any meaningful sexual experience. It's what allows fantasies to move from being secret, private thoughts to shared moments of connection. Without this safety, men tend to hold back, whether consciously or unconsciously, protecting themselves from judgment, rejection, or disappointment. For many men, especially given cultural expectations about masculinity, expressing sexual desires openly can feel risky. There's a fear that admitting certain fantasies might lead to being misunderstood, shamed, or rejected. This fear keeps many men locked inside their own heads, unable to communicate what truly excites or fulfills them. But when emotional safety is present, when a man knows he won't be criticized or ridiculed for what he wants, he can begin to share those fantasies in a way that brings greater closeness to his partner. This sharing often transforms sex from a purely physical act into a deeply intimate exchange. Emotional safety means feeling accepted exactly as you are, with all your imperfections and complexities. It means knowing that your partner isn't just attracted to your body, but genuinely interested in your inner world, the fears, the dreams, the vulnerabilities. This acceptance creates a space where men can drop their defenses. In that space, fantasies don't need to stay hidden as secret, shameful thoughts. Instead, they become invitations for exploration, connection, and mutual discovery. The more emotionally safe a man feels, the more he will allow himself to be known. And that willingness to be known can be incredibly sexy. In many men's fantasies, this sense of safety is what makes the experience so rich. It's not just about the physical pleasure, but about the emotional freedom to express desires that may be unconventional or deeply personal. Without safety, a man's imagination might be limited by fear or hesitation. But with safety, his fantasies can be expansive, creative, and freeing. This emotional freedom often leads to more fulfilling sex, both mentally and physically, because it's no longer about hiding or performing, but about genuine connection and pleasure. Moreover, safety isn't only about being free from judgment. It also includes feeling secure that boundaries will be respected and that communication will be honest and compassionate. When a man knows that his partner will listen without rushing to fix or criticize, he can be more honest about what he wants and what he doesn't want. This kind of open communication builds trust and deepens intimacy. It turns sexual exploration into a shared journey rather than a solo adventure. The result is a stronger bond where both partners feel valued and understood. Another layer of safety involves the idea of emotional reciprocity. Knowing that your vulnerability will be met with kindness and that your partner is also willing to be vulnerable. This mutual openness breaks down barriers and creates a dynamic where both people feel seen and supported. Many men dream about sex where they can reveal their softer side, their insecurities and their unique desires without fear. This mutual vulnerability makes the experience not just about physical connection, but about emotional resonance. It's also important to recognize that emotional safety doesn't mean everything has to be perfect or easy. It means feeling confident that even when difficulties arise, like misunderstandings or awkward moments, the relationship can withstand them. When men feel this kind of safety, they can take more risks in their sexual expression because they trust the foundation beneath them. This trust encourages honesty and experimentation, allowing fantasies that might have felt taboo or scary to be explored in a supportive context. Many men's fantasies include scenarios where safety is a given, a kind of unspoken understanding that they won't be judged or abandoned. This safety allows them to step into new roles, try different dynamics, or express parts of themselves that might not fit the usual macho mold. Whether it's sharing a secret desire, admitting to needing tenderness, or exploring vulnerability in a raw and honest way, safety transforms sex into a space where authenticity can flourish. Ultimately, emotional safety is what transforms sex from something mechanical or transactional into something deeply human and connected. It's the difference between a man feeling like he has to hide parts of himself and feeling free to express all of who he is. Men's sexual dreams often reflect this deep yearning for safety, the freedom to explore without fear, to be known without shame, and to connect without pretense. When that safety is present, the kind of sex men dream about becomes not only possible, but profoundly fulfilling. One of the biggest misconceptions about the kinds of sex men dream about is that they revolve around performance, being flawless, dominating, or exceeding some imagined standard set by culture, media, or pornography. While sexual skill and confidence do matter, many men's deepest fantasies actually revolve around something far more human and relatable: real intimacy. The kind of sex men dream about isn't about delivering a perfect show or hitting all the right moves. Instead, it's about feeling truly wanted and connected in a way that goes beyond physical technique or scripted scenarios. The reality is that genuine intimacy and emotional attunement are often far more fulfilling than any porn-level performance. In a culture saturated with unrealistic portrayals of sex, men often internalize the idea that their worth in the bedroom depends on how well they perform. There's pressure to last long, to be strong, to be adventurous, and to satisfy their partner completely. This pressure can create anxiety and even detract from the pleasure and connection that sex can bring. What many men secretly dream about is the freedom to be themselves, flaws, imperfections, and all, without feeling judged or inadequate. They want to be desired, not just for what they do, but for who they are. This desire for authentic connection runs deeper than the physical act itself. Men's fantasies frequently include moments where they feel seen and appreciated for their whole selves. This might mean being able to relax into the experience, knowing their partner truly wants them, not because of any performance, but simply because of their presence. The dream of real intimacy is about that sense of being completely accepted and loved in a way that makes all the outside noise, insecurities, past disappointments, performance worries fade away. It's in these moments of authentic connection that men experience a sense of belonging that is rare and precious. Another aspect of this dream is the longing for spontaneity and playfulness, which often gets lost under the weight of expectations. When men fantasize about sex, they sometimes imagine scenarios where things unfold naturally, without scripts, without pressure to perform, just a flow of mutual desire and enjoyment. This kind of sex allows for mistakes, laughter, and discovery, and it emphasizes presence over perfection. It's a reminder that sex is a shared experience, a dance that both partners co-create, not a solo act where one person has to get it right. Men also dream about the emotional safety that comes with real intimacy. When emotional attunement is present, both partners feel comfortable expressing their needs, boundaries, and desires openly. This honesty deepens the connection and makes sex feel more satisfying because it's based on trust and understanding. Men want to know that they can be honest about what excites them without fear of rejection or ridicule. This kind of vulnerability creates a space where true pleasure can unfold naturally, without the pressure to pretend or perform. The dream of real intimacy also includes being able to connect beyond the physical, to feel emotionally and mentally present with a partner. Many men fantasize about moments where they don't just touch or kiss, but truly see each other, where the connection feels so profound that words become unnecessary. This kind of intimacy creates a powerful sense of unity and belonging that stays with men long after the physical experience ends, an experience that nurtures their emotional well-being and satisfies a deep human need for closeness. Men's fantasies sometimes contrast this dream intimacy with the less satisfying experiences of casual or purely physical encounters. While casual sex might fulfill a physical urge, it often lacks the emotional depth that makes sex meaningful. What men really dream about is bridging that gap, having passionate, exciting sex that also includes emotional connection and genuine care. They want to feel wanted in a way that goes beyond lust, to be embraced in a way that feels safe and nourishing. Importantly, this desire for real intimacy doesn't diminish the importance of passion or excitement. Rather, it shows that the most fulfilling sex involves a balance, a connection that is both raw and tender, wild and safe. Men's dreams about sex often blend these elements, imagining experiences where they can express desire fully while also feeling emotionally held and accepted. This balance allows men to be fully present, to lose themselves in the moment, and to experience pleasure that feels rich and deep. In many ways, the dream of real intimacy is a desire to be truly known and loved without masks or pretenses. It's about sex that nourishes not just the body but the heart and soul. Men's sexual fantasies often reveal this longing for connection that transcends performance and taps into something profoundly human. This is why the sex men dream about often involves moments of genuine emotional attunement, because it's in those moments that they feel most alive, most connected, and most themselves. When we look closely at the kinds of sex men dream about, it becomes clear that these fantasies go far beyond just physical acts. They reflect deep emotional needs, desires for connection, and the complexity of their inner world. From craving variety and excitement to balancing power and vulnerability, from longing for emotional safety to yearning for genuine intimacy, these dreams reveal a rich landscape of what truly fuels male desire. Men want to feel seen, accepted, and celebrated for who they are, not just as performers, but as whole, multifaceted human beings. Understanding these layers helps us appreciate that men's sexual fantasies are not about superficial or selfish urges, but about seeking meaningful connection, freedom, and authentic expression. Ultimately, the sex men dream about is a powerful blend of passion, trust, and emotional closeness, the kind of experience that nourishes both body and soul.